You're at the end of a typical day. You are just completely exhausted.
Oh, yeah. Bone tired.
Right, your mind is racing, your body aches, your eyes are heavy. But here's the thing, you haven't actually physically done anything.
Exactly. You sat in a chair.
Yeah, you sat there, you stared at screens, you typed a bit, maybe scrolled on your phone. Yet, the sheer weight of the fatigue you're feeling right now, it feels like you just ran a marathon while carrying, like, a refrigerator.
It really does. And we tell ourselves this is normal, right?
Right. We tell ourselves that this exhaustion is simply, the math of modern life, that we're just doing too much or processing too much.
Carrying way too much mental load.
Exactly. But what if that is a complete lie? Like, what if the crushing exhaustion you feel in your bones right now has absolutely nothing to do with how much you're doing?
That's the big question.
Yeah, and what if it has everything to do with the fact that you are biologically tuned to the wrong frequency?
I mean, it forces a complete rewiring of how we even view our own exhaustion. Because we usually look at burnout as a behavioral problem.
Right.
Or like a time management failure.
Right, like, oh, I just didn't schedule my day right.
Exactly. But the material we're diving into today treats human exhaustion, anxiety, and perception as a strict engineering problem. It treats the human nervous system not as this mysterious emotional generator, but as a mechanical receiver.
Which brings us to the grounding material for this deep dive. We are pulling apart a set of really extraordinary, kind of lesser-known writings and excerpts compiled in a text called The Frequency of Being, Tesla on Perception and Resonance.
And we really need to set the stage for who Tesla was in this context.
Right, because when you hear Nikola Tesla, you picture, like, alternating current. You picture the induction motor, power grids, or those giant coils shooting purple lightning in a Colorado lab.
Oh, yeah, the mad scientist imagery.
Totally. But our mission today isn't about the electrical grid outside your house. It is about the electrical grid inside your body.
And that's such a crucial distinction.
Right. We're going to decode Tesla's profound philosophy on the hidden mechanics of human consciousness, like how our biology literally filters reality. And this incredibly disturbing concept he laid out about how modern society controls us.
Not through force, but through noise.
Yes, control through noise. It's fascinating. But let's establish the lens for this right away, because this sounds, a bit mystical.
Yeah, and we have to be clear, Tesla was a physicist and an engineer. He looked at the universe through mathematics, through electromagnetism and mechanics. He did not traffic in mysticism at all.
Okay, so when he talks about this stuff, he means it literally.
Oh, absolutely. When he speaks in these texts about frequencies or vibrations or human consciousness, he has described what he fully believed to be a measurable mechanical framework.
So no metaphors.
Right. He observed the human body with the exact same ruthless mechanical pragmatism he used to build, a radio receiver or a polyphase generator.
Okay, let's unpack this. To understand how Tesla viewed the human machine, we really have to start at the absolute foundation, which is how we perceive reality.
The very basics of it.
Yeah. From a young age, Tesla was obsessed with the idea that reality is not solid. I mean, physics backs this up now, but he intuited early on that at a subatomic level, everything pulses.
Right, everything vibrates.
Everything is constantly reacting in this massive ocean of electromagnetic waves. But humanity, we look at our senses, like our eyesight, our hearing, our physical touch, as the ultimate truth.
Like if we can't see it or touch it, it simply isn't real.
Exactly. But Tesla looked at human senses and saw something entirely different. He saw flaws, he saw imperfect filters.
And the source text argues that these sensory filters were never actually designed to show us the truth of the universe.
Right, they had a completely different job.
Yeah, they were designed for one singular, desperate biological purpose, which is survival.
Okay, let's break down the biology of that filter because I think it's vital.
Yeah, think about what your eyes are actually doing. They are absorbing photons, converting them into electrical signals, and sending them to the visual cortex.
Just a mechanical process.
Exactly.
Right.
But the electromagnetic spectrum is massive. I mean, it includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays.
It's huge.
Right. But the human eye can only perceive this microscopic fraction of that spectrum, which is just what we call visible light.
It's like looking through the peephole on a front door. You press your eye against this tiny, distorted piece of glass, and you see a 2-inch circle of the hallway.
That's a perfect analogy.
And because you've spent your entire life looking through that specific peephole, you assume that tiny slice of hallway is the entire universe.
And that is exactly what the nervous system is doing. Because Look, biology doesn't care if you comprehend the vast, vibrating, multidimensional reality of the cosmos.
Biology just doesn't want you to die today.
Exactly. It cares if you can spot the tiger hiding in the grass so you don't get eaten. If your eyes suddenly possess the ability to see infrared heat signatures or, Wi-Fi signals bouncing off the walls and the constant atomic decay of objects.
Oh man, that would be insane.
It would. Your brain would have to process trillions of times more data than it currently does. Your visual cortex would overload instantly.
So to keep you alive, your senses are actually actively blinding you to like 99.9% of reality.
Yes, they are defense mechanisms.
Wow. So we think our eyes and ears are letting the world in, but their actual job is to keep almost everything out.
Precisely. Which brings us to this absolute gut punch of a quote from the source material.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Tesla said, "If you could perceive even 1% more of reality, your life would lose its meaning entirely."
That is just wild. 1%.
Just 1%, because the human mind constructs its entire sense of purpose based on the simplified narrative those filters provide.
Right, the daily routine stuff.
Yeah, you go to work, you buy groceries, you argue about a political election, you worry about your social status.
All the normal human things.
Right, but that narrative holds together precisely because the filter is so thick.
Right.
If the dial shifted even 1% and you perceive the sheer, overwhelming chaos of energy fields or the microscopic life crawling on your skin, the electrical pulses of the people in the room with you.
The narrative of going to the grocery store would just completely disintegrate.
Exactly. The human mind simply doesn't have the architecture to maintain its mundane routines in the face of the actual infinite.
But wait, I have to challenge this a bit, right? Aren't these filters the only things really keeping us functional?
In what way?
Well, we literally built civilizations, skyscrapers, governments, art, technology. And we built all of that using our eyes, ears, and hands. So why would Tesla look at the exact biological mechanisms that built our world and frame them as this kind of perceptual prison?
That's a fair point. But see, what's fascinating here is he didn't view the biology itself as broken. The trap isn't the people.
Okay, then what is it?
The trap is forgetting that the people exists. Tesla recognized a profound danger that arises when human beings gather in large groups. We experience what he called a fatal conflict between consensus and truth.
Because we're all looking through the same people.
Exactly. Because all 8 billion of us are looking through the exact same biological people, we all agree on what the hallway looks like. And civilization makes this massive collective error.
Which is?
We confuse that agreement with absolute reality.
So if 1 million people agree that the sky is blue and a table is solid, we just write it down as a universal law.
Yeah, but consensus doesn't measure truth. Consensus merely measures social stability.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Because if we all agree on the strict boundaries of what is real and what is not, society functions. We can build economies, we can trade goods, establish laws.
Sure, you need a baseline.
But Tesla observed that humanity defends this narrow band of perception with terrifying aggression.
Oh, like historically.
Yes. When someone steps outside the consensus reality, the collective doesn't just politely disagree. The collective responds with mockery, fear, institutionalization, or even violence.
Because pointing out the people threatens the structural integrity of the entire society.
It does.
It's like telling a group of people standing on a bridge that the concrete isn't actually solid. I mean, even if you're talking about subatomic physics, they're gonna panic and tell you to shut up because they are terrified of falling.
That is exactly it. And that collective fear leads directly into Tesla's explanation of human genius and the dark side of what society labels as madness.
This part of the source text really got to me.
Yeah, because if everyone is equipped with the standard biological filter, what happens to the genetic outlier? Like, what happens to the biological anomaly born with a slightly wider filter?
This completely reframes everything we think about intellect. The text introduces this concept of the human nervous system as a literal radio receiver.
Yes, the radio analogy is...
Like, Tesla did not believe that the brain creates consciousness. He didn't think the brain was this factory manufacturing thoughts out of chemical soup.
No, not at all.
He believed the body is the radio hardware, the antennas, the capacitors, the tuners, and consciousness is a broadcast field existing independently of us. The body merely translates the signal.
It is a radical departure from mainstream neuroscience, for sure. But it's perfectly aligned with electrical engineering.
How so?
Well, if you take apart a radio sitting on your desk, You won't find the orchestra inside the transistors.
Right, there are no tiny musicians in there.
Exactly. The physical box isn't generating the symphony. It is catching an invisible electromagnetic frequency from the air and translating it into acoustic waves that your biological ears can process.
So humanity's greatest mistake is confusing the radio with the music. We confuse the wet matter of the brain with the consciousness flowing through it.
That's Tesla's view, yeah.
And if the body is a radio, then a quote-unquote genius isn't someone who was touched by God or granted some mystical gift. A genius is literally just a human being born with a slightly more sensitive biological tuner.
They are equipped with hardware capable of catching a frequency that society's standard radios cannot pick up.
That makes so much sense when you look at Tesla's own life.
Right, because he looked at his own mind this exact way. He saw the mathematical structures of alternating current. He visualized complex motors spinning in his head down to the millimeter before he ever built them.
Like 3D models in his brain.
Yes, but he didn't believe he was inventing them from nothing. He believed his nervous system was tuned to a frequency where those patterns already existed, and he was simply downloading the broadcast.
Okay, but this raises an important question, and the source text spends a lot of time on this. What about the tragic side of this, the uncalibrated antenna?
It's heartbreaking, really.
Yeah, because if you have a sensitive radio dial, but you don't know how to tune it, you don't get a beautiful symphony. You get horrific, deafening static.
And you have to look at history through this specific mechanical lens. Think about how many individuals were labeled unstable, erratic, or dangerous.
Or locked in asylums across the centuries.
Exactly. Tesla suggested that many of these people weren't fundamentally broken. They weren't malfunctioning. Their nervous systems were simply picking up too much data.
They were seeing that extra 1%.
Yes, but they completely lacked the internal architecture, the vocabulary, and the psychological grounding to translate that overwhelming frequency into something society could digest.
So they were basically hyper-aware antennas without an instruction manual?
And the volume was permanently stuck at max, catching 5 stations at once.
Man. And because society enforces normalization, it tries to force those sensitive radios back onto the one static channel everyone else is comfortable with.
Right. If pills or therapy or asylums can turn the dial back to the consensus channel, society considers the person cured.
We pathologize the expansion of perception because the unknown is the greatest threat to a group's internal stability.
We really do. But, you don't even have to look at historical geniuses or asylum patients to see this radio dial mechanic in action. You experience it every single day.
Okay, let's ground this right now for the listener. Think about your own internal radio dial.
Yeah, picture your morning.
Right. Imagine a morning where you wake up late, the alarm didn't go off, you have a massive presentation at work, and you immediately spill coffee on your shirt.
We've all been there. It's the worst.
Your heart rate is elevated, your breathing is shallow, your jaw is totally clenched. You walk out the door and the world is instantly hostile.
Oh, yeah.
The traffic is aggressive, the barista is rude, your coworkers seem demanding, and every single email reads like a personal attack.
But here's the key. The physical reality of that world, the actual concrete, the cars, the text in the emails, the barista's vocal cords, did not objectively change.
Right. Because compare that to, say, a Saturday morning where you wake up naturally after 9 hours of sleep.
Your dream scenario.
Exactly. You have nowhere to be. You sit with a warm cup of coffee and watch the sun come up. Your nervous system is completely slack.
Relax.
Yeah. You go out into the exact same city, driving the exact same roads, and the guy who cuts you off in traffic doesn't even register. You just tap the brakes and listen to the radio.
The external environment is identical.
Yes. But your internal state, your tuning dial shifted, and by changing the hardware's tuning, you literally accessed a completely different version of reality.
Because the nervous system dictates which bandwidth of reality you are allowed to experience in any given second.
Wow.
The problem, as the text explicitly outlines, is that the modern human is existing in a state of permanent chronic contraction.
We are living with the dial jammed.
Jammed hard. The pressure of survival, the constant comparison to others, the financial stress, the artificial urgency, it creates a physiological state of static.
And static ruins the reception. You can't hear the music when the machine is rattling itself apart.
Exactly. When an instrument is physically out of tune, it doesn't matter how beautiful the sheet music is. The output will be chaotic vibration.
Which brings us to a phenomenon the text identifies as untrained sensitivity.
Yes, This is crucial.
This is what happens when your hardware starts picking up subtle signals, but your intellectual mind refuses to acknowledge them.
We see this all the time.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like you walk into a room, maybe it's a conference room in work, right after two executives had a massive fight. Or you walk into a hospital waiting room.
Or even just stepping into your house after your family was arguing.
Right. Before a single word is spoken, before your eyes can even process the facial expressions, you feel a physical weight drop onto your chest.
Your stomach just knots up.
Yeah. You feel an overwhelming biological urge to turn around and walk out. And we brush this off, right? We call it reading the room or just being overly emotional.
But Tesla called it pre-verbal perception.
Pre-verbal perception. I love that.
It's very real. And this is where we have to look at the mechanics of the nervous system, specifically the enteric nervous system and the vagus nerve.
Okay, let's get into the anatomy.
Right. We are taught from a very young age to worship the brain in our skulls, the whole Cartesian philosophy of, I think, therefore I am.
Right.
But the human gut contains over 100 million neurons. It is literally a second brain. And the vagus nerve acts as this massive biological fiber optic cable connecting the gut to the brainstem.
Wait, let's pull on that thread. How does the information actually flow there? Because we always assume the brain in the skull is the CEO giving orders to the body.
That's the common misconception. It's actually the exact opposite of what most people assume.
Really?
Yeah. Roughly 80% of the nerve fibers in the vagus nerve are afferent, which means they carry information from the body up to the brain, not the other way around.
Oh, what?
The body is an infinitely more sensitive environmental scanner than the intellectual mind. So when you walk into that tense conference room, your physical nervous system detects the micro-expressions, the pheromones of stress in the air, the subtle shifts in acoustic resonance.
And it instantly sends a massive warning signal up the vagus nerve.
Exactly.
So the gut literally knows the truth before the brain has even processed the first syllable of conversation. The knot in the stomach is the body's early warning radar.
But what do? We suppress it.
Yeah.
We're conditioned to only trust what can be quantified, verbalized, and placed on a spreadsheet.
It's like the intellectual mind is a corporate PR department desperately trying to spin a narrative, and the body is the whistleblower who actually has the real data.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it.
Right. Because if you feel a knot in your stomach about a business partnership, but the financial projections look flawless and the person has a great resume, you are taught to ignore the whistleblower and follow the PR department.
Living from the waist up. That's what the source text calls the modern condition.
Living from the waist up.
Yeah, we sever the connection between the mind and the body. We become these floating heads, entirely disconnected from this deeply intelligent, hypersensitive biological antenna.
So what happens to that friction? If my body is screaming that a situation is toxic, but my mind forces me to sit in the chair and smile because it's quote-unquote logical, where does all that suppressed kinetic energy go?
Tesla believed this specific mechanical friction is the root cause of widespread physical illness and chronic modern suffering.
Really? Illness?
Yes. The body perceives the truth, but the mind represses it. Over years and decades, that repression isn't just an emotional problem, it becomes a mechanical blockage.
Because the energy has to go somewhere.
Exactly. It generates systemic inflammation, autoimmune responses, and chronic fatigue. It turns inward and literally attacks the hardware.
Wow. And the text makes a fascinating pivot here, arguing that true human evolution has nothing to do with accumulating more external data.
All right.
We think we're evolving because we have smartphones that can access all the information in human history. But Tesla would say that's just hoarding noise.
Pure noise.
True evolution is refining internal perception. It's calibrating the radio dial so the mind and the body are operating in perfect unison.
The text also includes a pretty stark warning for anyone who actually attempts to widen their perception.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Not at all. As your internal filter widens and you start actually trusting that pre-verbal data, your tolerance for living on autopilot evaporates.
Yes, you start seeing the invisible scaffolding of social interactions. You feel the manipulation in a marketing campaign physically in your chest.
It becomes undeniable.
You can instantly sense when a friend's promise is completely hollow, or when a politician's speech is driven entirely by engineered panic. It sounds like a superpower, but the text warns that it's profoundly isolating.
It really is. Because you stop wanting the superficial things everyone else is chasing.
Yeah.
You stop fearing the phantom threats everyone else is terrified of. You become alienated from the consensus reality.
Which forces a transition from personal biology to physics, Because if your internal tuning is this powerful, if your nervous system is picking up all this data.
The next logical step in Tesla's framework is asking whether your frequency stops the edge of your skin.
Exactly. If I'm a radio receiver, am I also a transmitter? Like, does my internal state leak out into the physical space around me?
And to answer that, we have to look at a fundamental principle of physics involving coupled oscillators.
Coupled oscillators, okay.
Yeah. In the physical universe, when multiple vibrating systems share a common medium, the most coherent system will systematically force the less coherent systems to organize around it.
It just overpowers them.
In a way, yes. It happens in electrical circuits, it happens in pendulums, and Tesla believed it absolutely happens in human biology.
Let me try an analogy here to see if I'm grasping the mechanics of this.
Go for it.
Imagine you have a large, slightly wobbly wooden table. You place 20 metronomes on this table, and you start them all ticking at completely random, chaotic times.
So it's just a wall of dissonant noise.
Right. They are all out of phase. But because they are sitting on the same physical medium, the kinetic energy of each tick is traveling through the wood.
Yes.
The metronome with the strongest, most stable, most coherent mechanical pulse will start pushing its rhythm into the table.
And the others react.
Yeah. One by one, the chaotic metronomes will physically have their pendulums nudged by those vibrations until, eventually, all 20 metronomes are ticking in absolute unified lockstep.
It's a perfect demonstration of spontaneous synchronization. And that wooden table is no different than the electromagnetic field of a room filled with human beings.
So when that person walks into a chaotic, screaming office or a panicked hospital ward, someone who is deeply internally anchored and calm, they don't even have to raise their voice.
They don't have to use psychology or persuasion.
Right. Within minutes, the volume of the room just drops. The frantic energy dissipates. We look at that and call it leadership presence or charisma.
But Tesla called it sheer mechanical coherence. That internally calm person is the strongest metronome on the table.
And their highly tuned, balanced nervous system is automatically overriding and organizing the weaker, chaotic nervous systems around them.
Exactly.
But how? How does a human body broadcast a signal strong enough to act as the dominant metronome?
It comes down to the heart.
The text points directly to the heart, yeah, but not in the way a cardiologist usually talks about it. It describes the heart as a massive rhythmic generator.
We really need to get into the granular anatomy here.
Okay.
The heart have a cluster of cells called the sinoatrial node, which acts as a natural electrical pacemaker. Every time it fires, it doesn't just push blood. It generates a massive electrical depolarization wave, followed by a mechanical pressure wave that travels through the entire vascular system.
It's essentially striking a massive biological gong inside your chest every second.
Exactly. Now, in a state of stress like anger, fear, frustration, the rhythm of that gong is erratic. The waves bounce around, colliding in these chaotic patterns. Right. But when a human enters a state of deep, profound physiological calm, the heart rate variability synchronizes. The waves align into a smooth, highly ordered pattern.
And this brings us to an incredible anatomical relationship between the heart and the brain.
Yes, the cerebrospinal fluid.
Cerebrospinal fluid. So explain how that connects.
The human brain doesn't just sit rigidly inside the skull. It is buoyant. It is suspended in a bath of cerebrospinal fluid.
So if the heart is striking the gong symmetrically, creating this perfect, coherent pressure wave through the blood vessels, those vessels travel up the neck and into the skull.
They do?
When that rhythmic pulse hits the base of the skull, it transfers the mechanical vibration directly into the cerebrospinal fluid.
And that fluid ripples like a perfectly still pond, transferring those delicate, highly organized mechanical vibrations directly into the glial cells and neural tissue of the brain. And we know that brain tissue responds to mechanical pressure by generating electrical activity. So a coherent heart mechanically forces the brain to generate a coherent electrical field.
And the field doesn't stay trapped in the skull.
No, it radiates out.
The source text references modern measurements, which honestly blew my mind. I actually looked this up to verify it. Magnetocardiography uses these incredibly sensitive superconducting sensors to measure magnetic fields.
It's cutting-edge stuff.
Yeah, and the human heart generates an electromagnetic torus field that is infinitely stronger than the field generated by the brain. It physically extends several feet outside the body.
Modern science completely validates Tesla's intuition here. The shape, frequency, and stability of that electromagnetic field change instantaneously based on our emotional state.
So cool.
When you are furious, your field is jagged and chaotic. When you are deeply compassionate or calm, the field becomes a highly ordered, smooth torus.
Which means we are quite literally walking, breathing radio transmitters.
We absolutely are.
If I am stressed out of my mind, I am physically infecting the people standing next to me with my static. And if I am coherent, I am physically stabilizing them, which forces a really uncomfortable realization.
What's that?
If a coherent, internally quiet human being is this mechanically powerful, if they have the physical ability to stabilize a room and see right through manipulation, why isn't this the very first thing we teach children?
That is the million-dollar question.
You're right. Why isn't the cultivation of internal coherence the bedrock of our entire educational and social system?
Because a highly coherent, self-regulating human being is the ultimate threat to any system that relies on mass control.
Wow.
Tesla was acutely aware of the dark side of social engineering. A coherent person is fundamentally unpredictable to external forces.
Because they aren't reacting to the static.
Exactly. You cannot manipulate a coherent person with a terrifying news headline. They won't panic buy products out of artificial scarcity. They will not blindly march into a conflict just because an authority figure tells them to.
They filter the incoming data through their own finely tuned internal system. And if the narrative feels dissonant, they just reject it.
Unpredictability breaks the machine. You can't run a consumer economy or a political campaign on a population of perfectly grounded, unpredictable individuals.
Which brings us to the architecture of modern society, what the source text refers to as the rhythmic hijack.
The rhythmic hijack. It's a brilliant term.
The world we live in isn't just accidentally stressful. It is structurally designed to constantly, relentlessly disrupt your internal rhythm.
Let's break down exactly how this hijack happens, because I want the listener to realize how pervasive this is.
Okay, let's do it.
Think about your morning routine. Most people wake up, and before their feet even hit the floor, they reach over and grab a glowing rectangle.
The smartphone.
Yeah. You open an app, and within 5 seconds, an algorithm feeds you a video of a political outrage, followed by a lifestyle post designed to make you feel financially inadequate, followed by an urgent email from your boss.
Let's look at the biology of that moment. By looking at those specific stimuli, your brain's amygdala instantly registers a threat.
It thinks you're under attack.
Right. It activates the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your bloodstream. Your heart rate variability plummets. Executive function in the prefrontal cortex shuts down.
You're in pure survival mode.
Before you have taken your first conscious breath of the day, you have been thrown into fight or flight. You have literally allowed an external, profit-driven algorithm to dictate the physical pulse of your heart for the rest of the day.
You've surrendered the tuning dial.
Yes.
And from the perspective of social control, keeping the population in this constant state of amygdala hijack is absolute genius.
How so?
Because when the human nervous system is in survival mode, it drastically narrows its focus. It shifts into a predictive state, simulating worst-case scenarios to keep you safe from perceived threats.
Right, checking for tigers in the grass.
Exactly. And decisions made in a state of biological fear are incredibly, terrifyingly predictable.
Because in survival mode, you only have 3 options: fight, flight, or freeze. You stop being a complex, nuanced human, and you become a herd animal reacting to the loudest noise.
We flatter ourselves by believing we are rational creatures, making logical choices about our purchases, our voting habits, and our relationships.
But we aren't.
No. Tesla recognized a mechanism that psychology later confirmed.
Yeah.
The intellectual mind is the lawyer, not the judge.
I love that analogy from the text, the lawyer and the judge. Expand on that. How does that dynamic actually work in the brain?
Well, when you are rhythmically hijacked, your body, the physical nervous system, acting as the judge, makes an instantaneous, fear-based decision.
Okay.
It decides to buy the security system, to hate the opposing political party, or to snap at your spouse. The decision is already made at a biological level.
Right.
Then, milliseconds later, your intellectual mind, the lawyer, steps in. The lawyer's only job is to draft a brilliant, logical-sounding PR statement to justify the irrational decision the judge just made.
Wow. So we walk around armed with all these sophisticated intellectual arguments defending our worldview, completely blind to the fact that we are just retroactively defending our nervous system's panic attacks.
We are being controlled by static.
That is deeply unsettling.
It is the ultimate evolution of societal control. You don't need physical force anymore. You don't need armies in the streets to control the population. You just need noise.
Endless noise.
You need an endless stream of breaking news, notifications, financial panic, and social media outrage. If you keep the noise loud enough, you prevent anyone from finding internal silence.
So algorithms can predict human behavior with 99% accuracy, not because the AI is some magical, omniscient god, but because stressed, noisy, hijacked humans follow highly predictable biological loops.
Precisely.
So if constant noise is the cage, and our predictability is the lock on the door, how do we pick the lock?
Now we get to the solution.
Right, because Tesla was an engineer. He didn't just point out the flaws in a system and complain about it. If he saw a mechanical problem, he designed a mechanical solution.
He was a problem solver.
And the text outlines a specific physical protocol for taking the dial back.
And the most important word there is physical. You cannot think your way out of a biological hijack.
You can't just positive affirmation your way out of it.
Exactly. You can read 100 books about Zen philosophy, but if your nervous system is flooded with cortisol, the philosophy is completely useless. The body doesn't speak English.
Right.
It doesn't understand abstract concepts. The nervous system only responds to rhythm, to pressure, and to pattern.
So Tesla insisted on a mechanical practice. The text breaks it down into a 4-step protocol.
Let's walk through it.
Step 1. You must start the day before you let the world in. Before the phone, before the news. You sit with a perfectly straight spine. And this isn't just about looking dignified, right? The text specifies that the spine is the literal axis of biological rhythm.
Yes. Biomechanically, your spinal cord is the superhighway of the central nervous system. When you slouch, or compress your diaphragm, or crane your neck forward to look at a screen, you are physically pinching the vagus nerve and restricting the flow of cerebrospinal fluid.
You're creating a kink in the hose.
Exactly. Sitting with a perfectly aligned spine removes the mechanical resistance from the biological circuitry.
Okay, so spine straight. Step 2 is the breath. The text describes a precise rhythm that we now recognize as box breathing.
Which is widely used now from the military to athletics.
Right. You inhale deeply for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 4 seconds, you exhale smoothly for 4 seconds, and you hold your lungs empty for 4 seconds. Let's break down the mechanics here. Why 4 seconds? What is actually happening in the blood?
It comes down to the bareflex and gas exchange. When you control the breath to that specific 16-second loop, you are intentionally manipulating the ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide in your bloodstream.
So you're changing your blood chemistry.
Yes. The slight buildup of CO2 during the holds acts as a powerful vasodilator, opening up your blood vessels. Furthermore, the slow exhale stimulates the pressure receptors in your aorta, which send a signal straight up the vagus nerve to the brainstem, actively inhibiting the sympathetic nervous system.
So you are mechanically forcing the foot off the biological gas pedal. You are sending a massive, undeniable signal of safety to the brain. Like, I have time to breathe this slowly, therefore, there is no tiger in the glass.
Exactly. You are chemically proving to your body that you are safe.
Okay. Step 3 ties it to the metronome concept. While maintaining this breathing rhythm, you focus all of your internal attention on the physical sensation of your heartbeat.
Right.
You don't visualize light, you don't repeat a mantra, you practice strict interoception. You anchor your mind to the mechanical pressure wave hitting your chest wall.
You become the observer of the radio dial.
And step 4 is the commitment. The text says to do this for exactly 10 minutes a day for 30 days. No more, no less. And it specifically warns against pushing it further at the beginning.
That warning is very intentional.
Why the strict limitation, though? If 10 minutes is good, wouldn't an hour be better?
Remember the uncalibrated antenna we talked about earlier?
Oh, right.
When you start clearing the static, your perception is going to widen. If you try to force the nervous system open too quickly by meditating for 2 hours a day without prior training, the sudden flood of pre-verbal data, the intense awareness of everyone's emotional state around you, will cause a massive psychological burnout.
It's too much data, too fast.
Right. You have to myelinate the neural pathways slowly. 10 minutes is enough to train the hardware without melting the fuses.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic for a moment because I know what the listener is thinking.
Go ahead.
Can 10 minutes of sitting straight and counting my breath really immunize me against a multi-trillion-dollar global architecture of algorithms, media conglomerates, and behavioral psychology designed explicitly to hijack my attention?
It sounds totally disproportionate.
Yeah, it sounds like trying to stop a freight train with a piece of paper.
It sounds overly simple until you understand what happens over those 30 days. The goal isn't to achieve some state of floating enlightenment where nothing bothers you.
Then what is it?
The goal is cultivating neuroplasticity. By repeatedly, consistently demonstrating to your body that it can generate its own safety, the static begins to permanently clear.
Okay.
And what emerges from that cleared static is the most powerful weapon a human being can possess:
Yeah.
the pause.
The space between the stimulus and the reaction.
Yes. Currently, when an algorithm feeds you an outrage-inducing headline, your reaction is instantaneous. Stimulus, cortisol, anger, zero space.
You're just a puppet on a string.
But as you train the nervous system, a microscopic gap opens up in your biology. You see the headline, you feel the attempt to hijack your system, but you don't automatically react.
Wow.
In that pause, you have the capacity to evaluate the data. You recognize the manipulation. You retain your agency.
You see the PR department trying to spin the story and you just dismiss it.
Exactly.
And the text makes this incredible promise. Once you cultivate that space, the external world loses its grip on you. News broadcasts that used to make your blood boil suddenly look like bad theater.
They lose their power.
Yeah, people trying to manipulate you with artificial urgency become painfully transparent. You step off the treadmill of collective panic, you stop being a victim of the chaotic metronomes, and you become the anchor of coherence.
You reclaim the dial. And when you do that, you begin to change the environment around you mechanically, not by shouting your opinions louder than everyone else, but simply by the nature of your physical, coherent presence in the room.
Man, this has been a massive paradigm shift. We started by dismantling the idea that our senses are windows to absolute truth, revealing them instead as biological filters designed to keep us blind enough to survive.
And then we explored Tesla's concept of the body as a radio receiver, where consciousness is the broadcast, and how society tragically mistakes sensitive, miscalibrated antennas for broken minds.
We dove deep into the mechanics of pre-verbal perception, the vagus nerve, and how suppressing our gut intelligence creates the mechanical friction that makes us literally sick.
We looked at the sheer physics of the human heart, acting as an electromagnetic metronome, literally organizing the fluid in our brains and the fields around our bodies.
And we faced the chilling reality of how societal control is maintained, not with weapons, but with noise, hijacking our biology to keep us in a predictable, reactive state of survival.
Finally, we laid out the physical, four-step engineering fix to reclaim that biology.
Which brings us to the author's final plea in the source text. Do not let this deep dive be just another piece of content that you consume, mentally agree with, and then instantly forget as you swipe to the next notification.
Because abstract theory, without physical practice, is just a burden. It's just more high-minded static in your head.
The invitation is to test it on yourself. Try the protocol for 30 days. Don't believe a word of this just because it sounds fascinating. Prove it in the laboratory of your own nervous system.
The only metric of truth that matters is your own lived experience.
So I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. We began by talking about your exhaustion, that heavy, unexplainable fatigue you carry at the end of every day.
Right.
If society's ultimate tool for control is keeping us agitated, fearful, and constantly bombarded by noise, then perhaps seeking absolute, unwavering internal silence isn't just a wellness trend to help you lower your blood pressure.
No, it's much bigger than that.
What if sitting in stillness, deliberately regulating your own heart rate, and fiercely reclaiming your internal frequency is actually the most radical, disruptive act of rebellion a human being can commit today?
That is a profound thought to end on.
Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. Take a slow breath, find your rhythm, and we'll see you next time.